Hello and welcome to another edition of SVG Rewind, where we take a closer look at a really cool innovation and production that happened in the past. Christian Hernandez here with Sports Video Group, an old friend. I haven't seen him in quite some time, actually, since the Venue Summit back at Allegiant Stadium last year. It's Tim Tubito. He is the Senior Director of Global Event Presentation and Entertainment for the National Football League. Tim, what's going on, man? You are in Green Bay as we're speaking, getting ready for the
I
draft.
am.
How's that been?
On to the next one. Yeah, we just came off a combine. We are now in Green Bay preparing for the draft. So draft planning's going great. Looking forward to some good meetings and looking forward to putting on another great show.
Awesome. So New Orleans, maybe a pit stop to New York, Indianapolis, Green Bay, Flyer Miles are no not low in 2025.
Not low at
That
all.
for
Yeah.
sure. Awesome. You guys did a really cool thing. I mean, Super Bowls are always amazing, right? From a game day, game presentation side. But for Super Bowl 59 and Caesar Superdome in New Orleans, you change things up, right? You got a cool stage with a couple partners that really allowed you to do something awesome and more sustainable, which we'll get into, more cost effective, and just an overall amazing thing, a multi-use stage. So
Yeah.
take me, I guess, back to why you guys needed one, right? So what was different from this Super Bowl and the previous Super Bowls that you've worked on and the league has worked on, and then some of the challenges that necessitated getting a multi-use stage like you used in New Orleans.
Yeah, sometimes you stumble upon good ideas, and this is certainly that case. The process started back in the summer when we were looking to revamp post game. So we went out to a bidding process for post game to take a look at how we can do things differently, how we can get the entire team on the stage and expand it and really enhance the ceremony. What came out of that was a great proposal from Live Nation, who we've also worked with on the halftime concerts in Munich with Machine Gun Kelly or MGK, I should say. And so they brought forward a really good proposal. We love the stage layout. We love the design. It incorporated LED. It incorporated some excellent lighting, and it really allowed us to get the entire team on the stage, which is something that it was a major goal of ours to have the entire team be a part of the ceremony. As things began to develop, and we took a look at the full scope of the game itself and what we were doing, at the time, we were planning a pretty large pregame performance or opening ceremony, if you will. And then we also have opening night, which also takes place in the stadium. And so as we took a look at the stage, we realized how many different carts it took to make up the stage. We started to pose the question back to Live Nation and Stufish and All Access. Can we make this a multi-use stage instead of producing a new stage for a separate stage for opening ceremony, a separate stage for opening night and post game?
Right.
Is there a way we can efficiently break up this stage into different configurations so it doesn't feel like we're rinsing and repeating the same stage over again, but we are utilizing the same parts? It was a process to get there because we had to meet the needs of opening night, we had to meet the needs for the opening concert, and meet the needs for post game, also being cost efficient, also being operationally efficient to make sure we can fit in the tunnels and storage space. So it just started to make complete sense. Instead of now having to store three different stages, we're storing one. Instead of having to move three different stages, we're moving one. Um, but it was a much larger stage than we've ever used for post game, so it was going to take up a lot more space in our compound. So we had to keep that in mind. As we worked through the multiple configurations and how it was going to work for these different ceremonies, it just all started to make complete sense. And
Right.
so a part of the original deal is, the NFL would make an investment in the stage, and it's something that we would be able to hold on to and own for the next several years and be able to use it on other events if needed, because there are still more configurations to that stage that we did not use at Super Bowl that will allow us to be able to use it for other events. So it was born out of necessity, it was born out of timing, and it was also born out of pushing limitations and trying to do things differently. And that's what we always strive for every year at the Super Bowl. How can we do things differently? How can we make it feel different? And so, having a new post game was an undertaking in itself, but then also introducing this new pregame concert was another big part of this, and it all just kind of came together in a really nice way.
Right. The unique part of your job is like if you don't go to the Super Bowl, or yeah, you don't you just think it's just Sunday, game day. That's when Tim Tubito and his team does the job. But no, there's other nearly a week before you have the opening night concert, with things on that Monday before. And this is why, like you said, it was very much needed and helped you guys out. in a big way. All right, let's pick up apart what you just said and let me answer some questions, ask you some questions from there. Working with Live Nation, All Access, Stufish, and the NFL, obviously your entity. How did that work? When did you guys talk? How was the back and forth? Did you guys meet? Kind of take me
Yep.
back to when you guys first started that conversation.
Yeah, so these conversations probably started back in September with the initial design. And then I drove them a bit nuts with kind of reconfigurations and this idea of, hey, how do we break up the stage to meet the needs of the different things we want to accomplish? There's some other vendors involved with those events too, like the opening ceremony was produced by Production Club, who we've worked closely with on pregame. So bringing them into the loop to make sure it met their needs and changes and configurations of how we had lights that enhance the opening ceremony, and then also for Fewer Productions, who works on opening night for us. And opening night's a big part of kicking off Super Bowl week. It's the first and last time that the two teams come together to kick off the week before the actual game. It's a great event for locals. It's a great event for the community. So getting all those groups together and finding out what the needs are and then meeting those needs. So we went back and forth with Live Nation, went back and forth with Stufish, who helped design the stage and come up conceptually with how this was going to look, how this was going to feel, and then All Access about like, what's the practicality of this? How do we put this together? How do we configure this in a way that makes sense? And, timing is so critical for all of these, for getting them on the field, getting them off the field, especially for opening ceremony, especially for post game. All Access really helped us kind of put those puzzle pieces together and figure out how this was going to function in the real world.
So speaking of puzzle pieces, actually on game day, and you can take me back to the Monday before for opening night. You said they were configured in different ways because you had to host, Harry Connick Jr. for the pregame, and then you had like Human Jukebox band kind of surrounding it. So you kind of needed to make sure it didn't take up too much space, but had a presence, and then there's so many people on an NFL team, right? So for the Eagles, there's so many people on the roster, and you wanted to give them that moment where they're with the Lombardi Trophy, they're no one's left behind. And I'm sure in years past, you kind of had to do it in shifts or the most important players. So that probably was what something that went through your brain. How was that executed on game day, right? Moving parts, you had a game to produce with Van Wagner. There's so many things going on in your head. So what was going on in your head on Sunday when it came
Yep.
time to do it?
It's all about preparation. So it starts pretty early in the week where um, our crew, our stage push crew, which came together from Live Nation and Production Club, all kind of coming together and doing push tests within our tent and have our compound in our tent, like off outside the stadium.
Right.
So they're running tests, how it's going to turn, how we're going to put things together, having the cart leaders get an understanding of how these things function and move. So that's kind of the first step in this. Then as we got into the week, our first rehearsal for opening ceremony, the opening concert, was on Tuesday. And so that's a full-on push test. How long does it take to get on? Little things that people don't realize. You can't just push a card on and push it off. You have to go in a certain direction so the wheels don't turn and damage the turf. And this was a pretty large stage with a lot of moving pieces. It's important for us to respect the integrity of the game and the field, because ultimately that's the most important thing. That's why we're there. All this entertainment is great. As the entertainment guy, I love it, but we still want to make sure the football game is going to go off without any kind of problem. So yeah, we kind of went through our push tests, and then we get into rehearsals. And so um, those first rehearsals, the first time we did the post game rehearsal was actually on Sunday, a week before the Super Bowl, the night before opening night. That was the first time the cart saw the field in the post game ceremony look, just to give us an idea of how long it was going to take to get on, how long it was going to take to get off. And so then we go to our rehearsals on Tuesday for opening ceremony, and you work out the kinks, you figure out the problems. There weren't a lot because of all the preparation we did
Right.
and all the communication and collaboration that went on. But the goal with the opening moment and the concert was, we had plenty of time to get it on, but it was important how quickly we could get it off, because that was going to be followed by player introduction. So getting that timing down, and having the stage show ready when you bring it on. It's not only getting the stage up, it's getting people in place, getting the lighting set, making sure the LEDs on the actual stage itself. There was a substantial amount of LEDs on the stage, which complemented both the pregame and the postgame show, making sure those are all fired up. So you just go through all those processes and take, time things out. And then we do our final run of post-game testing on Friday before the Super Bowl. And that gives us our closest time. And we made really good time. You have to be back and ready when the network's ready to come to that ceremony. And an added layer to this, not only the stage, but we were doing something we haven't done in quite some time, is bring the entire team up to the stage. And so we had to account for getting the stage set and also getting the entire team on the stage, which I was delighted to see. I've never used the word delighted. I don't know why I'm using it today, but I was happy to see. Um, I looked down, and when they opened the gates to allow the team to go to the stage, they knew they could all go up on stage. They sprinted towards the stage. I'm watching them sprint across the stage, and that was helpful. That the players were excited. It also helped us from a timing perspective to be ready to go for broadcast.
Sure. It's like little kids rope dropping Disney World where they want to go on the first ride for everyone else.
Exactly.
And that's awesome. And you were so happy. You used the word delighted.
Yeah,
That's good,
exactly.
Tim. That's great.
I'm gonna use that more often. I'm
You
delighted.
should. Awesome. Okay, so outside of these, the uses of the stage, you had a show to do. And as the venue person, I need to ask you, how'd it go? And you guys did amazing stuff, whether it was, Bradley Cooper, John Hamm with the gates, the elaborate gates that you opened. I could take me through. I mean, all the details,
Yeah.
how well thought out it was. It was amazing from a viewing point of view, but from your perspective, how'd it go?
Yeah, it was a special one. It truly was a special one, for a lot of reasons. I've had this one circled on my calendar for quite a while. We've been doing a bunch of West Coast Super Bowls, and Arizona, LA, Vegas, all great. Loved them all. But this was the first time since Miami that we were back on the East Coast. We were in a dome, and that allowed us to really play with lighting and be theatrical and tell a story and do some really cool, amazing things. Overall, it's probably one of the most complete shows that I've done in my 21-year career. But as far as Super Bowls go, this was a really special one. And to your point, there were just so many special moments throughout. To start things off with Fox's great piece on Bourbon Street to lead into our opening ceremony, which took the opening ceremony itself, really, it really came together only maybe a month before the actual game because of the horrible incident that took place down on Bourbon Street. We kind of pivoted the direction we were going and really wanted to focus on that city and the culture and what makes it so special. So to be able to bring in all those groups, the Masked Indians, Harry Connick Jr., the Soul Rebels, all these great artists that I can go on and on about who were a part of that ceremony. It was really a special moment. And to your point, then to be able to give the subtle, personalized touches for each team with Bradley Cooper and John Hamm introducing the teams out to the field and those gates, which was another first. We just felt, instead of using the locker room doors, creating kind of a false locker room doors with really, again, the ironwork on those gates was authentic to New Orleans, and it set up kind of a dramatic intro, which is something that, working with Production Club has kind of become our calling card now at the Super Bowl. We did some amazing things last year in Vegas, and this kind of built upon that. Um, it was really special. And then, the great work on Anthem and America the Beautiful, again, really authentic touches to New Orleans. And then we get into the game, right? Well, I skipped coin toss, the tributes to the families,
Right. Right.
part of the attack. Again, that really special, touching moment. But then you get into the game, and we did some really cool stuff that wasn't necessarily on air. We kind of built this thematic around the Lombardi Trophy, which started pregame, unveiling it, and going to the end of the game, the final 2 minutes, and how we tell the story of these two teams and um, how they've made their run to the Super Bowl, and it's all kind of come down to this. So overall, everything, it'd be amiss if I didn't compliment the job that the Van Wagner team did. Had a vision early on for building out this theme with using Aerosmith's Dream On to tell a story about the trophy and the teams. And that team did a great job building out amazing packages. Our in-house host show was outstanding. It was just all in all, I'm very, very pleased about how we represented the NFL, how we represented the teams, and really how we represented that city. It was a special one.
Right. It's funny when I think back to when we did our panel back in March of 23, not even a month or a couple weeks after the Super Bowl in Allegiant, I was like, "Hey Tim, I know you're done with this one. What's in store for New Orleans?" You're like, "We got some good stuff cooking," and you did not disappoint. So you did the city well, you did the fans well, and you did, you did its purpose, and it was amazing. So kudos to you guys.
Thank
Uh,
you.
two more questions for you, Tim, before I let you go. You mentioned at the top, this commitment to this stage was pivotal because you can use it again in the future, right? For other things, internationally and domestically. Talk about that. You don't have to mention if things are in the works, but I guess you can key on the sustainability aspect of it and the cost effectiveness
Yep.
as to why it was crucial.
It just made sense, right? You have this big, wonderful stage. You don't want to just throw it out the door
Yeah.
the day after you use it. I think it makes a lot of sense for us to, both from a business standpoint and a sustainability standpoint, to be able to use this stage and repurpose it. We do a lot of events throughout the year. There's a lot of different ways we can utilize this stage. Like I said, there are more configurations that we haven't even used yet. So it will not feel like it's repetitive. And, the LED on the stage allows us to customize it so we don't have to reskin it every time. And the lighting on the stage that kind of goes around the railings really lets it lean into any event we want. So it's, it's a good business decision. It's a good sustainability decision. And just overall, you're not reinventing the wheel every year with the stage. I think we tried some things with post game this year. It was our first year trying to bring the entire team up to the stage. I think we'll probably look to try to expand that next year and improve on the process. And so, even from a process, logistical standpoint, right now, I know what our post game stage looks like when we go into San Francisco and Santa Clara. So we know what it looks like and we can start planning and figure out how do we continue to build upon this ceremony. And then there will be other opportunities to utilize this stage at other events.
One more for the road. You are in Green Bay, so I need to ask, how has planning been going for the NFL draft? I know at the time of recording, we're in early March, so it's coming up, right? And I love to
Coming.
ask you when things are right around the corner, but how's it been going? What's it been like out there?
Yeah, it's great. We'll have some big meetings later today, and we'll kind of bring everything together, just like we always do for the draft. We'll tell the local storylines. It'll be about the prospects on day one. We'll have some great entertainment throughout the weekend. It's really a lot of fun for the people who haven't been to Green Bay. It's Title Town. It's football at its finest. Lambeau is a beautiful place to see a stadium, to see football. There's no more passionate people about football than the people in this area. So, yeah, we have some good things planned coming up.
Mhm.
Uh, just like every other event, we'll
Sure,
try
yeah.
some new and different things. We'll push the envelope a little bit, but we're really looking forward to it. We did an amazing job in Detroit last year, and we always look to raise the bar, and that's what we'll look to do over the next month or so.
Awesome. Well, Tim, I'll let you get to it, sir. Thanks for taking the time. Good seeing you. Hope to see you in person soon. And if not, congrats on the work at Super Bowl and good luck at the draft.
Really appreciate it. Thanks so much.